Moon Queens.
We're back.
We are back
Woo!
for another episode of the Moon Queen podcast with Mitra and Julia. And today I'm super excited. Mitra just interviewed me about my upcoming Love and Leadership Mastermind for female entrepreneurs. So go check that out over on my channel or over on my Facebook page if you haven't seen it already. But today, I'm so excited to be asking Mitra some questions and chatting with her about a really cool upcoming workshop that she's been kind of incubating and getting ready to birth that she just shared with me about that I'm looking forward to actually being a part of as well. So Mitra, tell us a little bit about the workshop you're creating.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I kind of have the outline of it, but I'm still not clear with what the topic should be, because I want the topic to be how to say, something that all of us can practice in real time over this online platform.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about it. I'm like asking you, like, what should we practice on? You know what I mean? And how can we support people? Because typically these workshops, you have like either one or two facilitators, but this time is going to be very special because a whole community is going to hold space for this workshop. You know, like there is me, there is my partner Azrael, and then there's you. I'm pretty sure Antoine will be a part of it too, and then there's Gabriel. You know, so it's like there's going to be so much support and yeah. And then I was asking you, hey Julia, like how about we pick a topic that is relevant to our connection? You know, what has been the theme here, the recurring theme here, and we it came down to emotional expression. Yeah. And would you like to expand on why is that like a top priority for you in your connection?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, we were talking about it and, you know, I think like the ability to have strong connections that actually feel nourishing and supportive instead of draining comes down to our ability to be vulnerable with one another and to really express our emotions to one another and to express what's real about it and about us. And that doesn't always look like, you know, just talking about it like it's an after school special. Sometimes this can include like actually showing people that we're not okay, crying, expressing upset. These are really important aspects for me of intimacy in a relationship. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, you know, for me, it's a high priority just for my own personal well-being to, you know, practice emotional expression very, very frequently, because I find that if I do not, I'm incredibly uncomfortable. Number one, I get extremely uncomfortable in my body. Number two, I don't feel seen or connected to people. So connections end up feeling really draining and crappy. And then I just like want to go isolate, right?
And your body hurts too. You told me.
My body will hurt more if I'm suppressing, and also if others are suppressing in a room. That's a reality for me, you know? So what I've come to understand about myself through my experiences in community, especially, is that the people who are compatible to me are going to be people who value and prioritize emotional expression. And I think this can be really hard in terms of navigating boundaries around that, because of the fact that some people have really struggled with parentification in childhood, where they were forced to caretake parents' emotions, that sort of thing. Some people might also be resistant to their own emotions. I've fallen into that at times myself. And so then sometimes when we see other people expressing emotion, we meet them with resistance, whether
Yeah.
that's verbal or nonverbal, conscious or unconscious, but I'm someone who can feel that resistance very strongly. And it feels like a re-traumatization to me when that occurs. In
Yes.
essence, it really is, because it's a recreation. It's very similar to what I experienced throughout my childhood, most particularly with my mother, just being completely not received in my expression. And in fact, even called, you know, crazy or overly emotional, that sort of thing. So very, very important for me to be able to express. And I want to receive the truth of someone. Also growing up in a house where there's so much gaslighting, like house
Yes.
lighting, in a house of so much gaslighting and so much that's hidden, right? It's so healing, and it's actually also a complete necessity for things to really be transparent and to be real, especially when we can feel what's there that isn't being said, what's there that isn't being expressed, right? So, and that
Yeah,
helps me feel safe with people, and it helps me feel close to people when I can
for sure.
receive them in their truth in that way.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. And actually, if we don't make space for people's expression, we actually deprive ourselves the opportunity to feel freedom within the connection also.
Yes.
And this is yeah, this is the next point. Like this workshop that we will be conducting, holding space for, um, I would like to make it clear that it is a space for people who are genuinely wanting healing through other people, meaning coming towards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you have feelings of resistance, overwhelm, fear, um, bring that with you and still come towards the connection. That's yeah, that's the whole point, because otherwise you're missing out on the experience. And we recently had that. I'm gonna use like a real life example between us
Yeah.
when I think it was a few days ago. Yeah, a few days ago when um we were supposed to have a call, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you were overtaken by feelings of overwhelm and stress, and like, you were really like emotional, right?
Julia was triggered.
Yeah. And on my end, I'm like, that's okay, we could still have the call, right? But that probably didn't occur to you at that time because of your past experiences where that was not allowed, you know
Yeah.
or you don't feel safe enough to bring that in. And I have to be the brave one, because I was also afraid of losing our connection, but I have to be the brave one and say, like, girl, like, no matter how you feel, you can still bring it. um and trust that, uh I would, that, like, because I want to be received, right?
Yeah.
So I am making space for that. uh And how does it feel when that happens, Julia, when we have the next call where you just bring it?
Well, it was interesting for me, you guys, because I've experienced being received in my expression in the past, but recently, like more recently in the last year or so, I've actually had some experiences which have really brought up kind of some of that old programming of like, this isn't actually okay to be this open or this vulnerable when I'm struggling. It's not really okay to, especially with women, to bring that to them. They're either going to feel burdened by it, or they're going to reject you or energetically push you away or whatever. Because I had, again, like some recent experiences that I really did experience that, and it brought back up that wounding for me. So So for me, in my mind, I kind of went to this place, and I think a lot of us do this sometimes, where it's like, well, I can either be with my feelings and express them, or I can have this call that I planned to have with Mitra, but she probably expects me to be like, okay. So
Yeah.
if I'm not okay, I'm just not going to show up.
Mm.
um, and what happens with that, I think, is like this avoidance pattern that can become really insidious and damaging to a connection. And Mitra was bold enough to call that out and cared enough about not only me, but our connection together, to
Yeah.
caretake it in such a way where she was like, look, Julia, you know, um, I want you to feel like you can come towards me and be with me in those moments when you're suffering. And at first, it was like this kind of push and pull internally, right? When you're saying this on the call, there's a part of me that desperately like wants to just sink into that and just accept that and just, oh my God, that's what I've always been just wanting. It's just, I just want to be able to express. And, and I have that with Antoine, but it's different with women in my life sometimes. And so that was there. And then there's also this like, oh my God, it's not safe. Like
Yeah.
she's gonna
Yeah.
push you away, or she's gonna hate you, or she's gonna say yes, but really she means no. You're gonna be a burden. And so what I did was I kind of closed my eyes a little bit, but still said the things, and then
Yes.
I felt her reaction. And then I kind of like,
Yeah.
looked up, like I saw her reaction, I was
Yeah.
feeling
Yeah.
it. And I'm a good bullshit detector, right? So I could really feel you, Mitra, that you were wanting to be there, that you were receiving me in my expression, that it wasn't too much for you, that it didn't make you feel uncomfortable, that you weren't pulling away. And that was a huge relief in my body. And it made me feel like, since that time, in other situations where I've felt not great, that I can still show up
Mm.
for you.
Yeah. I totally see that, and I'm glad that you're expressing vulnerably about this experience that we had, because honestly, I was feeling the same feelings like you.
Mm,
What if I'm too pushy, or I feel like I'm overwhelming you, and then I will lose this connection, because that has been my experience too, you
mhm.
know? So that's why when you are in the space that you're at, like this uncertainty, I also have to be vulnerable and express, like, Julia, this is also very scary for me. And if we lose this connection, it's going to be very devastating for me
Yeah,
as well, and I feel like it was not perfect, but we navigate through it really perfectly. I felt like, because um especially being long distance is already hard enough,
yeah,
uh but I still feel like we can attune to people, if we really really choose to, like, feel the other, even though you're like behind the screen. But
absolutely.
for me, I always start with the body, like, uh Julia, you can allow yourself to not sit up straight, and just allow yourself to just,
Yeah,
like, yeah, because there's this sense of, oh, we are online, so we have to be like this. And yeah, I feel like allowing your body to just uh let it do what it needs to do, it actually lessen the resistance of this, like, push and pull dynamic as well.
that's true. Mitra, was like, how is your body feeling right now? So I ended up, putting my pillow up here, and I put my recliner out, and it really did change the experience for me.
Yeah, and I on the other hand felt so relief seeing you be in that position.
Relaxed,
Yeah.
yeah.
So this is the kind of experience we would like people to have in this workshop.
Yes.
Yeah, where they get to express, but also have a somatic experience despite being long distance.
Yes. And that absolutely can be done 100%. And those are those healing moments where it's in that moment that I'm receiving Mitra or Mitra is receiving me, that our biochemistry is actually being rewired to hold a new belief. We're creating a new belief about what's possible that we will be able to recreate and return to. And this is how lasting change happens in relational dynamics, especially when we're willing to really be present with that and kind of slow it down. And Mitra is really, really good at helping people, with providing those experiences, helping people to really, you know, um, soak up those experiences and take them with them.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
You're welcome. And yeah, I think too, one thing you were sharing before we hopped on the podcast today was that it's uncomfortable sometimes, and we were both uncomfortable in that moment, right? And so I love what you're saying about like people who are really ready to come towards people, and I think just understanding that like as we do that, there's going to be a bit of discomfort. It's not going to feel 100% awesome all the time. The reward is worth it, right? But I'm
Oh,
just wondering if you wanted to speak to that a little bit.
for sure, like I was saying, and you like that saying, like we have to stay in the fire.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Otherwise, we will not be able to receive this gift of, oh wow, like I can have me and have the other person too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's gonna feel bulldozy sometimes, especially if we have this organized attachment. A part of us wants to run away, right?
Always.
And yeah, always. And you know what? You can feel like that. No one is saying that you can't, but take a minute or two, breathe. Even like look away from the camera if you have to,
Yeah.
but come back in.
Yeah.
Stay in the fire to receive this gift of freedom within the connection. And yeah, this is not your, I would say, basic workshop. Yeah, I feel like now with this whole pandemic, like we have to step up in our bravery and courage to go towards people, because essentially that is what all of
Mm.
us want, you know
Yes.
and if we keep um holding ourselves back and being trapped by fears of the past experiences, which is completely valid, uh but there is this moment where we have to take the action step to kind of like break through these you know
Absolutely. And it does require bravery. I mean, you won't have to do it alone, you
yeah,
know, and you're safe. It's not unsafety that you're feeling. It's just that it's scary sometimes. And, carrying our fear with us and doing the scary thing is how those new experiences can be had.
yeah,
I just love that term, staying in the fire, because the fire is where the transformation is.
yes,
Fire is
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that is very relevant to your um your career name, Julia Phoenix, as well. So about like the fire. Woo!
exactly. I very much resonate with that. I'm like, yes, the
Yeah.
fire of transformation. So, oh, beautiful. So, how can people find out more about this workshop or join? Can they
Yeah,
contact you?
so because we just this finally decide on it, like today, the topic is gonna be about emotional expression, and we're gonna practice that, right? It's gonna be a 3 hours workshop where Julia will also speak and stuff like that. Uh, Facebook is the way to go for me always. I will set up a Facebook event, right? And yeah, put all our faces in there, put it together, and then spread the word. And yeah, the dates would be early February, sometime there, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So all
Well,
the details will be, yeah, there. I feel like because we're doing it as a community, people are going to feel this sense of safety that they have never felt before,
mm,
you know.
I could see that definitely. I could really see that. There's a sense of like kind of a holding there, and all the different energies too coming
Mm-hmm.
together. The intention to hold that space and support. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And we are also going to experience it because, like it's also going to be the first for us.
Yes.
Yeah, but I absolutely have faith in this because we have done group calls actually uh, during the New Year's to experience it. So we already have a taste of it
Yeah.
ourselves. Yeah, so can't wait to have more of it and also with other people, with you guys. Yeah.
Yay.
And yeah, that's it. I hope you look forward to this workshop that's going to happen. And yeah, Julia, take it away. How do we end this?
Oh, Mitra likes me to end things because she feels more awkward doing it than I do. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed listening to us just connect and share about our offerings and about what we're going through in our personal lives and in our growing relationship and connection. It's vulnerable, but it's really beautiful to have a whole collective of people, perhaps, that are sharing in all of those experiences with us. And I appreciate you, Mitra, and I love you. Yeah. If you haven't checked out the video about love and leadership, go check that out on my channel now and watch for Facebook details about the workshop coming up. We love you guys and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, bye.